When Gilligan's Island first aired, nobody expected it to become such a timeless classic. The Castaways felt like family, and for decades, fans laughed, smiled, and held on to the magic of that little island. But as the years passed, one by one, the beloved cast members left us. Now, only one remains from the main cast, and while you might think surviving such a legacy would be a blessing, her journey has been filled with heartbreak, loss, and struggles that few could imagine. So, who is the last surviving member of Gilligan's Island? Join us as we uncover her story and see how it all came to a tragic end. The Castaways and their fates. Gilligan's Island was born from a simple question. If you were stranded on a desert island and could take only one item with you, what would it be? Sherwood Schwartz heard that question in a class at New York University, and it stuck with him. He realized it was a clever way to put very different people together in one place, forcing them to live side by side. And that's how the idea for Gilligan's Island grew. The show ran for 3 seasons from 1964 to 1966, with a total of 98 episodes. Decades later, the catchy theme song is still stuck in people's heads. Fans remember the characters, but many don't know the real stories behind the cast members. Stories that often carried tragedy. Bob Denver, who played Gilligan, first found success in The Many Lives of Dobie Gillis. His role as Maynard G. Krebs made him stand out, and Schwartz quickly picked him for Gilligan. Denver later starred in Dusty's Trail, which was basically Gilligan's Island set in the Wild West. But it lasted only 1 season. He returned for spin-offs and even appeared in Baywatch in 1992, wearing the famous red sweater and bucket hat. In 1995, he admitted, "I left Los Angeles in the 70s because I was TV'd out." Sadly, in September 2005, Denver died at age 70 from cancer complications. Alan Hale Jr., who played the warm-hearted skipper, was discovered by Schwartz just weeks before filming. Schwartz once said, "I wanted a big guy, a teddy bear, not a bear, a teddy bear." Hale fit perfectly, and fans loved the way he looked after Gilligan. After the show, Hale opened a restaurant called Skipper Alan Hale's Lobster Barrel, where he was deeply involved until the early 1980s. But in 1989, he was diagnosed with cancer of the thymus and passed away in January 1990 at the age of 68. Jim Backus, who played the millionaire Thurston Howell III, was already a star before joining the cast. He acted alongside James Dean in Rebel Without a Cause and was the voice of Mr. Magoo. He kept voicing the character and appeared in movies like Disney's Pete's Dragon. Sadly, Parkinson's disease limited his later work. He passed away in July 1989, becoming the first cast member to die. Natalie Schafer, who played Lovey Howell, was well known for her elegant, wealthy roles. She reprised her character in spin-offs and appeared on shows like Three's Company and The Brady Bunch. Her final role was in 1990. She died in 1991 from liver cancer at age 90, leaving $2 million to help fund the Motion Picture and Television Hospital. And while these castaways found their endings, one still remains. Tina Louise, who played the glamorous Ginger, is the last surviving main cast member of Gilligan's Island. But her own journey has been marked by sadness and struggle too. A childhood marked by loneliness. Tina Louise, born Tina Blacker in New York City in 1934, did not grow up with the warm family life many children hope for. She was an only child, raised by her mother Sylvia, a young fashion model, and her father Joseph, who owned a candy store in Brooklyn, before later becoming an accountant. But when Tina was just 4 years old, her parents divorced. That moment changed her life. Her mother was only 18 when she had her, still figuring out her own path, while her father was 10 years older and soon out of the picture. Tina's name itself carries a story. She once shared that during high school, she mentioned to a drama teacher that she was the only girl in her class without a middle name. The teacher suggested Louise, and it stuck. It would become the name that the world later remembered her by. But long before she became Tina Louise, she was a little girl sent away from home. At 6 years old, she was placed in a boarding school in Ardsley, New York. That separation planted deep feelings of loneliness. Tina described the school as cruel and frightening. "I didn't want to be there right from the start," she admitted. The children were harsh to each other, forming groups like gangs. She recalled once being told her job was to hit another girl, something that left her confused and hurt. Those years felt like survival, not childhood. And the scars from those experiences would follow her even when she found fame. Life inside boarding school. Walls, Tina's memories of boarding school sound like something out of a dark novel. She compared it to Lord of the Flies, saying, "We were all just a bunch of angry little girls. Nobody wanted to be there." One girl even stabbed her in the wrist with a pencil, leaving a scar she still carried decades later. Punishments were cruel. When she was caught whispering to another girl at night, a teacher forced her to stand alone in a pitch-black bathroom, spiders crawling above her. Another time, she was slapped for not running a bath properly. The few small joys she tried to hold on to were often taken from her. Her mother once brought her a doll, but it was quickly taken away by the school. She remembered, "You don't remember things like that. You just remember that it was taken away." Her closest friends were the caterpillars she hid in a box under her bed. But even those were eventually taken from her. She prayed for Sundays because that was visiting day, yet her parents didn't always come. "I yearned for hugs," she said, recalling how painful it was to wait and wait, often with no one showing up. The pain made her dream of escape. She even tried to get sick on purpose. "I remember I kept trying to catch a very bad cold, so that I could hardly speak, so I could leave this place," she revealed. But even that didn't work. Instead, she was told to call her mother, only to be told it wasn't the time to get out. Her mother was then with her second husband, who didn't want a little girl around. He wanted his beautiful wife all to himself. For young Tina, that rejection cut deep. It seemed like she didn't belong anywhere, and yet her journey was only beginning. Between parents and heartbreak. At 8 years old, Tina finally left boarding school and moved in with her father and his new wife. She was overjoyed, finally feeling like she had a home. But that happiness didn't last long. When she turned 11, her mother, now married to a wealthy doctor, her third husband, decided she wanted Tina back. Suddenly, Tina was forced to live in a fancy New York townhouse. She had to leave her father behind, something that broke her heart. She later confessed, "I was very upset. I could never even say his name. It couldn't come out of my mouth." She blamed him for not fighting harder in court to keep her. She said she expected him to do something, but instead was forced to tell him, "I couldn't see him anymore." The guilt of having to say that to the father she loved left her angry for years. She wouldn't see him again until just before her Hollywood career took off. That long separation left scars that no fame could erase. Her relationship with her mother was complicated too. Tina said, "She was the most dominant force in my life." But that dominance often left her feeling trapped and unseen. Her mother had her own troubles. She lost her own mother at 3 years old, and her father had even placed his children in an orphanage for a time. Tina explained, she couldn't have imagined that at age 18 she would have a child. She didn't have a mother. She always needed a man to lean on. That need shaped her choices, from her 4 marriages to her temper. Tina said of her mother, "She was very beautiful, she loved the arts, but she lost her temper a lot with people." Despite everything, her mother supported her passion for acting, and that encouragement gave Tina a way to escape her painful past. From Broadway to Hollywood. Tina Louise's career started surprisingly early. At just 2 years old, she was in an advertisement for her father's candy store. By 17, she was already serious about acting. She studied under Sanford Meisner at the famous neighborhood playhouse in Manhattan. learning acting, singing, and dancing. In 1952, she made her stage debut in the Bette Davis Musical Revue 2's company. More Broadway roles followed, including John Murray Anderson's Almanac, Will Success Spoil Rock Hunter, and the hit musical Lil Abner. Around the same time, Tina also appeared on television in anthology dramas like Studio One and Producers Showcase. Her striking looks drew attention too. She was offered modeling jobs, posed for pin-up magazines, and even appeared in the 1958 Fredericks of Hollywood catalog. Columbia Pictures promoted her with pictorials in Playboy in May 1958 and April 1959. But Tina wanted to be seen as more than a model. Her big break came in 1958 with the film God's Little Acre. That same year, she was named the world's most beautiful redhead by the National Art Council. Hollywood quickly took notice. In 1959, she starred in Day of the Outlaw with Robert Ryan and later became the leading lady for actors like Robert Taylor and Richard Widmark. These roles often showed her in serious, dramatic parts. Interestingly, she turned down the film versions of Lil Abner and Operation Petticoat. Instead, she chose Broadway roles and even took a turn in Italian cinema. In 1960, she acted in The Siege of Syracuse and Garibaldi. Those choices set her apart, but a bigger role was waiting for her back home, becoming Ginger Grant. After her time overseas, Tina returned to the United States and studied with Lee Strasberg at the Actors Studio, strengthening her craft. By the early 1960s, she was back on American television. In 1962, she guest-starred on The Real McCoys, playing a country girl from West Virginia. 2 years later, she appeared in the beach film For Those Who Think Young alongside Bob Denver. That connection would soon change her life. In 1964, Tina left the Broadway musical Fade Out, Fade In to take on a new role. Ginger Grant, the glamorous movie star on Gilligan's Island. The sitcom would make her a household name. At first, Ginger was written as a Marilyn Monroe-type character, but the direction shifted. Tina later said, "A different director took over and really started to write for my character. I really loved my character." Fans adored her, and Ginger became one of the show's most memorable castaways. But for Tina, the role was not without problems. She grew unhappy, worried that playing Ginger would typecast her forever. She admitted many times that she felt the role had hurt her movie career. Unlike her co-stars, she refused to return for the reunion movies Rescue from Gilligan's Island, 1978, The Castaways on Gilligan's Island, 1979, and The Harlem Globetrotters on Gilligan's Island, 1981. Other actresses played Ginger instead. Yet Tina's career did not stall. She continued to act in films, such as The Wrecking Crew in 1969 with Dean Martin and The Stepford Wives in 1975. She also explored darker roles, far removed from Ginger's glamorous image. In 1974, she played a heroin addict in an episode of Kojak. And in 1976, she portrayed a cruel prison guard in Nightmare in Badham County. Other projects included Look What's Happened to Rosemary's Baby in 1976, SST Death Flight in 1977, and a stint on the popular soap opera Dallas from 1978 to 1979. In the 1980s, she even joined the syndicated soap Rituals. Tina's career was proving she could do far more than play a stranded movie star. But no matter what she did, people always remembered Ginger. Life after the island. In later years, Tina Louise continued to act in both films and television. She appeared in Robert Altman's comedy O.C. and Stiggs in 1987, and in 1992, she starred in the satire Johnny Swede alongside a young Brad Pitt. She also made a guest appearance in Married Us with Children in 1990. Decades later, she appeared in Tapestry and the horror film Late Phases in 2014, proving she was still active in front of the camera. Even though she avoided the Gilligan's Island reunion movies, she did make occasional appearances connected to the show. She walked on during talk shows like Good Morning America in 1982, The Late Show in 1988, and even joined the cast at the 2004 TV Land Awards. In the 1990s, she reunited with co-stars Bob Denver, Dawn Wells, and Russell Johnson in an episode of Roseanne. She did not take part in Surviving Gilligan's Island in 2001, where her role was played by another actress, Kristen Dalton. Rumors often spread that she had a strained relationship with Denver, but in 2005, after his death, she wrote a heartfelt memorial for Entertainment Weekly. When Dawn Wells, who played Mary Ann, passed away in December 2020, Tina became the last surviving cast member of Gilligan's Island. She addressed fans and denied rumors that she had ever disliked playing Ginger. "Never true. I love doing my part," she said. She also expressed gratitude to the fans who still watch the show after so many years. "We brought a lot of joy to people and still do. This show is an escape from so many things going on. Fathers share it with their children now. I get letters all the time about that." Even as decades passed, Tina Louise remained tied to the island. She may have played other roles, but the world still remembered her as Ginger Grant, the glamorous star who was stranded with 6 other castaways on a tiny island. And for Tina, that role, no matter how complicated her feelings once were, had become a lasting part of her legacy, dense and giving them hope. She also spoke about the financial reality of Gilligan's Island, admitting, "Nobody was getting residuals at that time. Nobody." While the show made huge money for its owners, the cast never saw those profits. And yet, Tina remains amazed at the show's lasting impact. "I'm just amazed that it's still on," she told Fox News Digital. From a painful childhood to Hollywood stardom to giving back to students, Tina Louise's story is filled with heartbreak and resilience. And though she found a way to escape the loneliness of her early years, the shadows of that childhood still linger, even for the last surviving castaway of Gilligan's Island. A short-lived marriage. Tina Louise married Les Crane in 1966 while she was working on Gilligan's Island. Crane was a man with many careers and talents. He first became known as a talk show host in New York City. His late-night show, Nightline, later renamed The Les Crane Show, began in 1963 and became famous for bold choices. One of his most notable moments was when he brought the Rolling Stones onto American television for the first time in June 1964. After the show ended, Crane shifted between acting and hosting, never staying in one lane for too long. In 1970, he even appeared on screen with Tina. The two played a married couple in an episode of Love American Style, showing fans a glimpse of their real-life connection. Later in life, Crane moved into the software industry during the 1980s, proving once again he could succeed in any field. When he passed away in July 2008 at the age of 74, their daughter Caprice paid tribute to him. She said proudly, "He was amazing. He was a fighter pilot. He was a radio DJ. He was a TV talk show host. He won a Grammy. He started an internet company. He was all over the map. And everything he did, he succeeded in." Caprice also remembered his fearless nature, saying, "He was always the first one to do something new. He was right on the edge, finding the next thing, before anyone else did. He was so smart and so funny, and he died too young." Despite all of his success, Tina and Les's marriage did not last. Only a few months after their daughter was born, in 1970, the couple separated, but their daughter would keep both parents connected in unexpected ways. A daughter who found her own path. Caprice Crane was born in November 1970, just before her parents ended their marriage. Growing up, she built her own place in the world of entertainment. After graduating from New York University, she began her career at MTV. She worked as a writer-producer for the network, creating content for the MTV Movie Awards and sports specials. But her ambition didn't stop there. Caprice moved into writing novels and later screenplays for Hollywood. She even worked on the reboots of Beverly Hills, 90210, and Melrose Place during the 2000s. In interviews, Caprice has spoken warmly about her mother. In 2009, she told Pop Entertainment, "My mom is fantastic. She's so great, so adorable, so supportive, and we're obviously so close." She explained that while living in Los Angeles kept them apart, she always missed being near her mom in New York. "If there is one thing I don't like about living in LA, it's not being so close to my mom," she said. She even shared how close their bond really was. "Some people think this is insane, but when I'm in New York, my apartment is literally 1 block away from my mom's apartment. And I love it. I could even live in the same building as her, but probably not the same floor. I love having her that close." Caprice's words showed not only her admiration for her mother, but also how strong their connection remained, even after Tina stepped away from the Hollywood spotlight. And while Tina's marriage ended long ago, the love between mother and daughter has remained one of the most important parts of her life, away from the spotlight. Tina Louise never announced her retirement, but in recent years, she has chosen to live a quiet life away from the Hollywood spotlight. Unlike many of her co-stars, she famously refused to reprise her role as Ginger Grant in the 3 Gilligan's Island reunion movies during the 1970s and 1980s. Still, she appeared in notable films like The Stepford Wives in 1975 and later starred alongside a young Brad Pitt in Johnny Suede in 1991. Even though she stayed active in films, Tina admitted she felt complicated about the role that made her famous. In March 2025, she told the New York Times that she was very grateful for her time on Gilligan's Island, but preferred to be known for other things. She explained that part of her discomfort came from how little money the cast made during filming. They were paid only $1,500 per episode and, shockingly, not a cent from over 50 years of reruns. While the show brought joy to millions, the actors themselves never shared in the financial rewards. Tina's choice to distance herself from the role wasn't about shame. It was about wanting her work to be valued for more than just Ginger. Yet, despite her feelings, the legacy of the island still follows her. And in her own way, Tina has built a new life full of meaning outside of Hollywood. A devoted mother and grandmother. Today, Tina Louise is proud to call herself a mother, and now a grandmother. She lives in New York, close to her daughter Caprice Crane, and recently welcomed the joy of being a yaya, the Greek word for grandmother. Speaking to Forbes in March 2025, Tina shared that she promised Caprice and her newborn granddaughter she would live another 40 years. She said with determination, "I'm going to do the best I can. I'm not thinking about leaving. I don't think of that. I don't want to think about it. I'm running to stay healthy. I'm walking to the gym. I'm just thinking about staying alive for my family. I love being alive." For Tina, family is everything. In another interview, she reflected on raising Caprice, saying, "It's amazing when you have a child, and I had so much fun. In view of the fact that I had such a strange childhood, so much fun raising her. Now, as a grandmother to twins, a little boy and a little girl, she says they are her #1 joy. This bond with her family is what gives her the strength to keep going." Even as time moves forward, Tina refuses to focus on aging or endings. Instead, she focuses on living fully for the people she loves most. And while she may not be chasing Hollywood roles, her daily life still carries the same energy she once brought to the screen. Even though Tina often felt typecast by Gilligan's Island, She has grown to see the impact the show had on people. She admitted, "We brought a lot of joy to people and still do. This show is an escape from so many things going on. Fathers share it with their children now. I get letters all the time about that." She also reflected on why the show meant so much in its time. "We were in the 60s, and there were like 3 deaths in a row of Martin Luther King and JFK, and then his brother, Bobby. It was a lot. There was one shock after another, and people really needed the escape. They loved that show." These words showed how deeply she understood the cultural place of Gilligan's Island. It wasn't just a sitcom, it was comfort during a painful era. Yet, Tina has never stopped reminding people that she was more than Ginger. Beyond the island, she wrote books including Sunday, a Memoir, and the children's book When I Grow Up. She continued to act occasionally, most recently appearing in the 2019 film Tapestry, alongside Stephen Baldwin. When asked if she would ever act again, she said, "Yes, I would. But it's like dreaming will not make it so. I don't think people come to find you. But if somebody asked me to do something that I wanted to do, that I found some reason to do, I would want to do it." Today, Tina keeps her health a top priority. She explained, "Usually, I like to walk at least a minimum of a mile a day, but a lot of days, I walk over 2 miles. My daughter told me I had to stay alive. I'm careful about what I eat. I have a lot of plant meals, but I would not call myself a vegetarian." In her own words, Tina insists she is focused only on the present. When asked about legacy or what she hopes to leave behind, she cut the conversation short. No. My daughter said I had to live 40 years, so I'm going to do the best I can. I'm not thinking about leaving. I don't think of that. I don't want to think about it. I'm running to stay healthy. I'm walking to the gym. I'm just thinking about staying alive for my family. I love being alive." Her words say it all. After decades of fame, struggles, and survival, Tina Louise's life today is about gratitude, strength, and the simple joy of being alive. A rare public appearance at 91. Tina Louise, the last surviving star of Gilligan's Island, surprised fans with a rare outing on June 4th in New York City. At 91 years old, she stepped out in Manhattan's Upper East Side, marking her first public sighting since she attended the New York Film Festival back in 2022. For the occasion, she looked stylish yet relaxed, wearing a black leather jacket with blue jeans, black sneakers, and carrying 2 black bags along with a navy blue umbrella. Her famous red hair still stood out, a reminder of the glamorous Ginger Grant she once played from 1964 to 1967. Tina has often spoken about how she wants to be remembered for more than the sitcom, telling the New York Times, "I'm very grateful for all the things that have happened to me and the opportunities that I've had. I'd like to be known for other things." These days, her life revolves around her family and her work with children. In March, she told Forbes, "It's amazing when you have a child, and I had so much fun raising her. Now, we have twins, a little boy and a little girl. They're number 1. Alongside family, Tina has quietly worked in New York schools since 1995, helping young students learn to read, calling the experience a very nourishing, important, emotional thing. What do you think about Tina Louise staying active and positive at 91? Does her story inspire you? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more incredible stories from Hollywood's fascinating history. See you next time!